Welcome to yoga. We're going to move into our third eye chakra today. So let's find our space. Remember, we have blocks if we need blocks. You can use yoga blocks, a yoga ball, or just improvise with any kind of ball that works for you. And a yoga belt, or you can always use a towel, tie. Finding our space, finding our comfort. So we're sitting comfortably, whether our legs are crossed easy leg style, or they're extended maybe, or have a diamond shape. However you feel today. Sitting nice and tall. Closing the eyes, coming into the breath, centering our mind. Letting the outside world just release. Letting our thoughts relax and dissipate. We're thinking of our breath here as we center the mind into the body, into the breath. And as we sit nice and tall, eyes are closed, we can take a moment, bringing energy to our third eye by either gently tapping with finger or fingers above and between the brows, or maybe a circular motion. I am guided by my intuition. And just imagining an indigo blue color like our night sky. Being infinite and open. Letting that awareness move through the body as we come back to the breath. Nice deep breaths now in and out of the nose. We're going to come to our seed mantra today for our third eye. This is the sound of Om. So take a nice deep inhale to Om. Om. Inhale to Om. Inhale to Om. Take a few moments while the eyes are closed, feeling this new vibration that we've created. Allowing it to center the body, the mind with the breath. When you're ready, opening the eyes, let's inhale and open the arms, lengthening overhead. And exhale, release. Let's draw the chin in the chest. Start to relax the ear to one side, one shoulder as the shoulders are relaxed. And then release the chin back down across the chest. Moving all the way to the other side. Nice deep breaths here as we focus on the breath with our movement. One more time. Moving with the breath as we inhale to the side. As we exhale, let's move back to center, chin into chest. Inhale, bring the arms up and over. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart. As we're here, we're going to extend through the legs. You can keep the blanket or the block underneath the glutes if you'd like. Extending through the legs. We're going to come into our sage pose. So bend one knee, dorsiflex the other foot. And that one foot comes down, the knee is bent right up towards the ceiling. And take a moment maybe to interlace the fingers. And let's lengthen through the back. Let's roll the shoulders back and lengthen all the way through the crown of the head. Stabilize that opposite leg. You're tightening those muscles. Toes are pointed up towards the ceiling. You're pressing down into the mat. Let's take this opposite arm. We're going to wrap around that bent knee leg. Keep lifted, lengthened, shoulders rolled back, and let's twist. Using the opposite hand behind us, stabilizing us, lengthening. And we're going to exhale, releasing, coming forward. Let's go ahead and release that leg. We're going to move into sage pose on the opposite side. So the other leg, remember again, we're tightening through these muscles, tensing. Toes are up towards the ceiling. The opposite knee is bent. We're lifting tall. So take a moment to lift tall. Roll those shoulders back. Tuck the abs in. Feel the length all the way through the crown of the head. Take that opposite arm, wrap it around the knee. Start to twist, open, keep that length. The other hand stabilizes us, looking over our shoulder. Finding our breath, even if it's a little bit more difficult as we twist. Trying to keep the breath calm and stable here with the movement of our body. Let's go ahead and gently release that. As we release our sage, we want to come into staff pose. This is a little more tension in the legs and the body. So here we have the legs hip width distance apart. They're pressing down into the mat. We're tightening the legs. We're tensing our muscles as we squeeze towards the bones. The toes are right up towards the ceiling for our dorsiflexion. Our shoulders are going to roll all the way up to the ears for a moment as we inhale. As we exhale, let the arms come to our side. Fingertips point forward. We're going to exhale, roll those shoulders back. Let the heart lift, press down into the floor. And as we do, we're tightening those abs. The heart lifts. We're lifting through the crown of the head. So we have our dynamic tension here all the way through the legs as we press that energy through the heels. And then from the glutes, lifting all the way through the crown of the head. Shoulders rolling back down, pressing all the way back down into the palms of the hands, into the floor. Finding our breath as we lengthen. One more breath here. And let's exhale, release, point the toes for a moment. Let's bring the toes back up towards the ceiling. Let's inhale, lengthen all the way up and over. We're going to hinge forward up the hips. Let the heart lead, let the arms move forward. Coming to either the legs, the ankles, or the toes. Wherever you're at today, roll those shoulders back, lift, lengthen through the back, heart is forward. Take a nice deep expanding breath, and we're going to exhale and allow it to round, allow the head to move through the arms, allow the elbows to soften and bend. Inhale, let's come back up into a flat back. Exhale, releasing. Forehead sinking. Inhale, expanding breath. And our exhales are our sinking breath. So think of the body sinking and relaxing down towards the mat. Inhale, flatten the root of the back. Exhale, releasing forward down. Inhale, let's lengthen and flatten through the back again. And this time as we exhale, we're going to walk it back. Lengthening through the torso. Let's move to our knees. So this is when we might need a block. We are coming into hero's pose. For some of us, this doesn't feel good on the knees. So if it doesn't feel good on the knees, you can always bring a blanket that goes between or on top of the calf muscles so that when you sit, you're a little bit higher off. Another option is a block. And the block here can go through in between because we want to sit on it so it's actually behind my glutes. I'm sitting down and I want to make sure in this particular pose, since it's hero's pose, that my heels aren't directly under my glutes, that they're actually out and I can see them to the side. I still have my knees hip width distance apart here, but I can see my foot and my heel is not under my glutes. So I'm sitting either on the block or I'm sitting on my glutes. You can have two blocks if this is too much for the knees, too much for the body. There's always more blocks that you can put and stack up so that you're lifted more. So maybe for some of us this is difficult, so we're just going to sit tall, breathing here. For those of us that can do more and can lengthen through, we're going to bring our hands back, fingertips point forward. And as we bring our hands back, fingertips point forward. We're still lengthening through the back. We're feeling the stretch in the quads, maybe in the knees. If you can do more, this is still fairly easy to you. You can bring hands on top of the soles of the feet, and you can bring yourself down to the elbows. Try and keep the knees hip width distance apart. You can let the heart lift. The abs still tuck in. We're breathing in and out of the nose. And if you're really flexible and this is still too easy for you, you can come all the way down to the ground. Continuing to breathe and follow the breath. When you're ready, we're going to start to come back up. So coming all the way back up. We're going to release our blocks or bricks that we had, if we had any. We're going to bring it all the way to all fours here. Let's inhale into our cow pose, dropping the spine, lifting the tailbone, lifting the gaze. Allow the heart to shine forward as we inhale, expanding breath. As we exhale, tuck the abs in. Contract the abs towards the spine, chin into chest. Taking our time again, using the breath, paying attention to the body and the breath. Keeping that alignment between the body and the breath. Exhale. Inhale, cow. Exhaling, cat. Inhale, cow. And exhaling, cat. Let's come to a flat back. We want to come into our windmill and stretch the back just a little bit deeper. So keeping one arm on the ground, one hand. Remember, if this hurts the wrist, you can always bring it down to the forearms and do the same pose. The inhales and the exhales you can still do on the forearms. Same thing with our windmill, which we're coming into. So if you need to come down to the forearms windmill, we're going to bring up one arm. If you don't need to, that hand arm is below the other shoulder. And we're having a few breaths now. Let's exhale and release that arm. We're going to switch to the opposite side. Stabilize that hand underneath the shoulder and inhale. Windmill. Find the breath again. And let's exhale. We're going to release that. Coming into spinal balance, let's inhale. One arm forward, the opposite leg back. Stretching through the heel as we have dorsiflexion, toes tuck under. One more breath here. And let's exhale. Contract the abs, bring the knee and the hand down. And let's move all the way into cat as we contract. Exhaling. Inhale back into flat back. Extension through the opposite arm and leg. Dorsiflex the toes, the foot, so the heel is the longest point. Couple of breaths here. And let's exhale. Gently bring that down. We're going to come back into our cat again. Exhaling into cat. Release the glutes this time on top of the heels. As we come into our child's pose, in our child's pose, let's stack our fists. So make fists, stack the fists, elbows can come out to the side. We're going to activate our third eye or bring attention to the third eye as we bring the third eye right down into the stacked fists. One more breath here. And then start to reach our hands, arms forward, expanding. We're going to come all the way up into our downward facing dog. So coming forward, tuck the toes, bring the glutes up. Let's walk it out for a moment, bicycling the legs, flattening through the back, bending each knee one at a time. And then soften the knees. Let's walk our hands back to our toes. Inhale, half back, coming into monkey pose. Roll through the shoulders, heart forward, flatten the back. You can bring the gaze forward. And then forward fold. Let's grasp behind the legs. Draw the head in towards the legs. Torso sandwiching towards the legs. Keep the knees semi-soft here. Start to tighten the glutes. We're going to inhale, flatten the back, come all the way up. Root to rise. So rooting through the feet. Lift the arms, lengthening all the way up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, lengthening up. Let's exhale. We're going to sweep into our chair pose. So spread through the arms, sit the glutes back, hips hinge, back flatten, knees hinge, knees not surpassing your toes. Option to bring the palms forward, elbows tucked in. Option to lengthen straight forward from our shoulder joint. Another option is hands at heart. We're going to move into a twist here. So let's open to one side. Open the arms. Keep the back lengthened and flat. That opposite arm comes down on the level side of the leg. The other arm lengthens upward. We're going to twist to the other side. So one more deep breath. Inhale. As we exhale, let's twist back to center for a moment. Take a moment to adjust, rolling the shoulders back, lengthen the back. We're going to move to the other side. Opening through the arms, keeping the back flat, hinged at the hips and knees, coming back to our breath as we're in chair twist. And let's exhale. Bring it back to chair. Release the arms. Inhale, hinging all the way up and over. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart. Let's go ahead and add a ball or a brick here. This is to engage our inner thighs and engage our pelvic floor. So you have a choice, whether it's a brick or a ball. It's going to come between the thighs, just a couple inches above the knees, so that we have our hip width distance apart. It doesn't hinder that. You can always use a ball or a block. Today I'll use a block. Hip width distance apart. Let's start to squeeze and activate our inner thighs. Our pelvic floor starts to lift as we add our root. Lock here. Our knees are still semi-soft. Let's inhale, lengthen all the way through the body, through the arms. And exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhale, monkey pose or half back. Keep the knees soft. Exhale, bring the hands to the ground. We're going to move into our downward facing dog. Let's now move into our plank pose. And from plank, we're going to hinge at the elbows, draw into crocodile. And as we come into crocodile, release the feet, top part of the feet on the ground, and start to lift up into our upward facing dog. This is an option here. You don't have to move into upward facing dog. Let's exhale, bend the knees, move it back. As we come back, release that brick block and come into extended child's pose. So remember, for our upward facing dog, we also have the option of having come all the way down to the floor and then moving into our baby cobra or cobra pose. Let's go ahead and move back up, and as we move back up off our heels, let's replace our brick back between the inner thighs. Stretching forward, shoulder width distance apart, spread through the fingers, tuck the toes, coming back into downward facing dog. Let's walk the feet forward. Inhale into half back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, tighten the glutes, tighten the legs. Let's lift up and over. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, bring it back down. Walk the feet back into our downward facing dog. Coming forward into your plank. Remember, you could always do a kneeling plank. You could always do a forearm plank. You could skip some of these parts. Crocodile, upward facing dog, or baby cobra or cobra. Let the knees come down to the ground. As we start to hinge back, once again, remove the block. Extended child's pose. Start to move forward again. Replacing the block back between the inner thighs. Downward facing dog. And let's walk the hands back to the toes. Squeeze the glutes, inhale, rising up and over. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart. Go ahead and remove the brick. Keep the brick close by. We're going to move into our revolving angle, revolving moon pose, half moon. So let's go ahead and step our right foot forward, or whichever leg. And we're coming into our warrior one. So to start off with, our hips are forward facing. That knee that is bent stacks right above the ankle. The toes point forward. The opposite leg is lengthened and at somewhat of an angle for the toes. And let's go ahead and move into warrior one. From warrior one, we're going to move into third warrior. So how we're doing this is we're just going to hinge forward at the hips, keep the back flat, start to lift off that back leg. Dorsiflex the back leg. Remember, the back is flat here, like you could set a dinner plate. When you're ready, we're going to move into revolving half moon. Grabbing a brick, placing on the ground, take the opposite hand as to that leg, butt in front of the toes. As you bring the hand down, the toes still dorsiflexed, and the opposite arm will come up. Let's exhale, bring that back down, step that other foot forward, knees are soft, release the brick. Let's inhale into our half back here, gazing forward for monkey, optional, and release back into our forward fold or forward bend. Inhale, tighten those glutes, open the arms, root to rise. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart. Let's step back the opposite leg. Remember, we're starting in warrior one. So we're hip width distance apart. We step back that leg. It's a lengthened leg behind us. Toes out slightly to the side. Hips are face forward. That forward knee stacks right above our ankle. Toes all point forward. Moving into warrior one. Inhale. Finding our breath and our length, our stability. Focusing on the breath with the body. From here, we're moving into third warrior. So we're going to hinge at the hips, keep the back flat. Hinge forward, balancing on this leg, lift the other leg. Remember our flat back here. Heel is the furthest extension, toes point down towards the mat. And when you're ready, moving into revolving half moon. So leg, opposite arm will come down to the brick. The back stays flat, and then the other arm will come up. And let's gently start to exhale. Release that other leg back to hip width distance apart. Release the brick. Soften those knees. Inhale. Roll the shoulders back. Nice flat back. Option to bring the gaze forward for monkey. Exhale. Let's bring the hands all the way down to the ground. Step it back into downward facing dog. Let's inhale, coming back into plank. Having a few breaths here in our plank, whether you're on forearms and knees or in the full plank position. And gently release the knees. We're going to come all the way back into extended child's pose, glutes to heels. Release the head. Inhale, let's lift the head. Let's exhale and start to extend to one side. So keeping the legs in the same position, reaching and extending to one side. And let's go ahead and walk the hands. We're going to extend to the opposite side. So walk the arms, hands all the way over to the other side. Let's start to come back up. We are going to use blocks or blankets here. We're going to come into our pigeon's pose. So bringing blocks, and if not blocks, maybe books, folded up towels. So a lot of different options here. You can always improvise. So here I have a lot of blocks. I'm going to come first down to the glutes. And my legs are going to be folded to one side. So we have lots of options here. As I fold my legs to one side, my legs are both folded to one side. I am then going to point the same direction as my knees because my hips are trying to ground here evenly into the floor. Although the side that is down is grounding and the side that's up is slightly upward. So I'm going to untuck that leg, bring it forward. And maybe I could bring that knee-ankle alignment in front of me if I'm sitting like this. If I need a little bit of propping, I could use a brick. For this particular position, you probably don't need a lot. So you can stay here, and for your pigeon, we're going to move hinging forward and elongating the arms and releasing the head. If you can do more than what is here, you can take that leg on the furthest part of the side and start to lengthen it back. As you lengthen it back behind you like you're moving into splits, maybe that other foot comes slightly closer to you to enable you to do this. The knee is going to rotate down. You're still going to rotate your hips forward. If you notice when you come forward and you're rotated off that right or off that hip that was grounded, because the other hip is higher, you can use a brick, a towel, a blanket underneath that hip so that we can sit up and still have even hips. As we have even hips, we're going to hinge forward and release the head between the arms. And let's start to bring that head back up. We're going to walk our hands back towards the body. Remember that we have the hips even at this point, whether we're sitting and our knees are bent or that we're in this full position of pigeon with the leg extended. We're going to take that bent knee that's here, that same arm on that side. We're going to hinge at the elbow and the fingertips are going to point opposite direction. We're going to allow that to come all the way down to the floor. As it aligns the shoulder and the elbow, we're going to open up the opposite shoulder, lengthening the arm and opening through the side. Remember to focus on the breath as it releases tension from the body, relaxes the muscles and the joints. Now let's exhale. We're going to release that. We're going to do just the opposite. So as we come back to the palms of the hands grounded, we're forward facing again. We're now going to walk the hands, arms like we're extending in our pose over to our right, like we would for an extended child's pose, but with our pigeon. And let's start to bring ourselves back forward facing again, aligning with that knee. We're going to walk it back up. So once again, whether our legs extended or we have that bent knee version and we're sitting down, if we can, let's start to bend the knee and draw that foot up. And then draw that same arm on the inside of that foot ankle. Fingertips around and then dorsiflex the foot. You can bring the opposite hand into the inner leg or the knee. Not a lot of pressure. We're not pressing down. We're not stabilizing with that arm. It's just helping us open. And you can look back behind you. And let's exhale. We're going to release that. So we're going to move into butterfly for a moment. So maybe both legs are bent here. Gently start to bring us into butterfly. We're just going to come back to center. Soles of the feet come together. Letting the knees be open. Letting the torso be tall, abs tucked in. Nice deep breaths. Maybe this is good enough for us. And maybe for some of us this isn't. So for the ones that it is not, bring the hands down to the ankles. Lift tall. Let the shoulders roll back. Let the heart lift. And then gently press the elbows into the inner thighs and knees as you draw the heart forward towards the mat or towards the feet. Remember to come into the breath. Let the breath lead and relax you. So those expanding breaths help us open the muscles, the joints. And then our releasing, relaxing breath, or sinking breath, sinks us down, closer to the mat, deeper into the pose. starting to come back up gently, slowly. We are switching to the other side. So once again, we have plenty of options. Maybe a brick or block right underneath the glute, even if we are sitting up. Even if we do have both knees bent, we could still put that brick block underneath that other hip that is pressing into the ground to try and raise it up to the same level as the other hip. And you can also move that ankle-knee alignment as you face forward. You could hinge forward and start to relax over this, or we can start to lengthen back. That leg, remember the knee rotates down towards the ground as you extend back. The brick is still underneath that other glute, so I can equalize my hips here. So that if I side by side, hopefully they're nice and equal. And if I need to tuck my heel in just a little bit more instead of have it out, ankle-knee alignment, we could also tuck it in towards the body a little bit more for comfort. Find where it is challenging for you, but not over challenging. Check in with your body. And when you're ready, whichever pose you've chosen, whether both knees are bent or one leg extended, coming down into our pigeon and extending forward, releasing the head. Starting to gently walk ourselves back up. So as we walk back up, we stabilize the arms. That knee that is bent in front of us, that same arm on that side is going to hinge at the elbow. We're going to align elbow and shoulder. Palm's going to face down, fingertips face the opposite direction. Elongating here through the spine. Then we're going to open up through the shoulder. Lengthening. So you should feel the vertebrae stacking here still. Lengthening through the back, abs are tucked in. And we're just opening and lengthening through the shoulders. Finding our breath here. And let's exhale. We're going to move to the other direction. So as we exhale, palms can come back to the ground. We're going to bring ourselves face forward again, but we're going to extend like we would our extended child's pose off to the opposite side. So we're reaching and extending. Let's exhale and start to walk it back to center. We're going to lengthen back up either into our sitting position if our knees are bent and just lengthening here, or option to bend the knee. Try and bring the knee directly behind you. Grab a hold of the ankle with the fingers. That other hand can stabilize either into the ground, not a lot of pressure. You can bring it to that knee. Try and dorsiflex that foot. Nice deep breaths here. And when you're ready to release, we're going to release that. Removing the brick, the block. We're going to come all the way back to our glutes again. And we're going to roll back. And again, keep the brick or block close to you because we are going to bring it back between our inner thighs and activate our inner thighs and our pelvic floor. So exhale, release back onto the floor. Release the soles of the feet, knees are bent, hip width distance apart. Let's take that block or ball. If you have a ball, you can always put that between the legs. Remember, it's a few inches above the knees into the inner thighs, and we're going to squeeze and activate those inner thighs. Take a moment, let's inhale, bring the arms up and over, stretching. Exhale, bring the arms back up and over, all the way back down, palms to the ground. We're going to lift the hips on the next one. So as we inhale, lift the hips, lift the arms up and over. As we exhale, we release the hips, release the arms, all the way back down to our sides. This time, keep the arms stable. Let's inhale, lift the hips. Squeeze those inner thighs as we lift the hips. And exhale, release back down. Let's inhale, arms and hips lift up and over. And our exhales bring us all the way back down to the floor. Again, make sure our heels are nice and stable, knees hip width distance apart, squeezing those inner thighs. Inhale, arms and hips lift. Exhale, bring the hips back down, arms sweep back down to our sides. Keep the arms stable. Inhale, lift the hips. And as we lift the hips, let's extend one leg. Keep the inner thighs tight. Then let's release back down. Keep the hips up. Extend through the opposite leg. You can point the toe. Still activating our inner thighs. Bring that leg back down. Lift the hips even higher. Extend through the leg again on an inhale. On an exhale, bring that foot back down, stabilizing. On the next inhale, lengthen through the other leg. And on that exhale, bringing that foot down, let's lift the hips as high as we can. And slowly release down. Removing the brick. Let's draw the knees to chest. And gently move side to side for a moment. Bring the soles of the feet back down. We're going to inhale and just lift the hips. And as we do, palms come face down underneath the glutes. Underneath that low back and hips, we're going to release back down on top of the hands. Start to bend the knees towards the chest. Dorsiflex the feet. Extend like we have legs up the wall. So we have this imaginary wall right behind the legs, the glutes. We're dorsiflexing the toes towards our nose. Our abs are activated. Our low back is protected by our hands. And we're pressing down the back into the floor so we feel the floor here. Coming back to that breath. Focusing on the breath as it expands and releases through the body. One more breath here. And we're going to exhale, slowly release. Bring the heels back down to the glutes. Inhale, lifting the hips. Release the arms and hands. Exhale, we're going to release back down into the floor. Knees to the chest. You have the option here to tuck those elbows in and to lift the head and gently rock left and right. Or you can leave shoulders, head, neck on the ground as we gently rock left and right. Getting ready for Shavasana here. We're going to slowly release the feet. Open the arms, palms face upward. Relaxing the legs. Remember to make yourself comfortable here. If you need extra padding under those knees to help support your low back, or maybe there's a chair and you can put the legs up here and this presses that low back down into the floor and really helps lengthen your low back if you have any low back issues. So a chair, maybe bent knees. When you're ready, getting ready, as we open the arms, palms face upward, closing the eyes, coming back to the breath. Inhale and exhale. Deepening the breath here while we pay attention to it as it expands through the body. And as we exhale, we release just a little bit more tension. We release just a little bit more into our mat. We let go just a little bit more. We allow our mind to relax. As we start to bring our focus back to our third eye, above and between the eyebrows, and allow it to sink in from above and between the eyebrows all the way down between left and right brain, directly in center where we find our pineal gland, shaped like a pine cone. And we activate this pineal gland by our thoughts, by our breath. We can move this line of energy through that third eye above and between the brows. And we can also move it through the crown of the head. So let's imagine an indigo blue ball right above the crown of the head. As we inhale, we draw this blue ball straight down into the pineal gland. As we exhale, we're projecting out through the third eye. And then on your next inhale, you're drawing the indigo blue ball in from the third eye into the pineal gland. And then exhaling through the crown. Inhale through the crown, pineal gland. Exhale through the third eye. Inhale from the third eye to the pineal gland. Exhale through the crown. Just allowing this pendulum effect with the indigo blue balls. It moves through the crown, pineal gland, third eye, pineal gland, crown. Each breath. And starting to release that as we relax even deeper. Starting to bring ourselves into the present moment by allowing the thoughts to dissipate, bringing that awareness inside into our innermost core. We can imagine a luminous light filling the body. As we feel lighter, allowing that light to grow with each breath. As it starts to fill the space around you, fills through the body, illuminating from the core out. Allowing that light to expand beyond the body, filling every gap in between. Allowing it to heal your body, healing your mind, your heart. Being in your present moment as you can feel the breath move in and out of the body. As you can feel this luminosity expand. Starting to see the beauty in all things. Being present in this very moment. Allowing peace to come through the body, through the mind. As the breath starts to awaken the body here, allowing deep breaths. Deepening the breath, expanding, starting to bring movement back to our fingers, our toes. And as we bring movement back, you can maybe start to bend the knees here. Moving to our left side, or if that's uncomfortable, you can always move to the other side. You can always take a moment to draw the knees into chest. And when you're ready, coming up from fetal position, we press into the palms of the hands. We use our arm strength to lift us back away from the floor. As we come all the way back up into our sitting position. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for yoga.